The Tour de France is a hotbed of the latest state-of-the-art cutting-edge bike tech, and this year, well, no different. There are some fabulous bikes to look at and some so new they haven't been launched yet. So in this video, I've picked some of the hottest and the fastest looking bikes that I, if I was a professional cyclist, would be more than happy to ride. Now, before we dive in, while the pros don't have to worry about biking insurance, you and I definitely do. And this video is sponsored by PedalSure. PedalSure protects you and your bike against theft, accident, injury, and much more. They're trusted by over 25,000 riders and rated excellent on Trustpilot, and you can get an instant quote on their website right now at the link down below. Okay, let's dive in. The EF Education Easy Post team are aboard a very special SuperSix Evo, which, thanks to a collaboration once again between Rafa and skateboard brand Palace, ensures these bikes definitely stand out in the Tour de France peloton. Love it or hate it, the bikes are definitely bold and it's certainly refreshing. The bikes are easy to spot in the peloton, which is definitely marketing genius. And come on, we are all bored of stealth black bikes, right? Bold paint jobs aside, the bikes are also interesting when it comes to the build. Shimano Dura-Race 12-speed is nothing unusual, but we have Vision wheels and Vittoria Corsa tyres, which are both tubeless in a 28mm width with inserts, so very much leading the charge for tubular technology. So the bikes are definitely funky, definitely stand out. More of a Marmite bike perhaps, you'll love it or hate it, I'm sure you'll let me know down in the comment section below. And if you do love it and you want to get your hands on one, well, very soon they will be available to buy in limited numbers. I'll put links at down below. I personally feel, you might think I'm biased here, but I assure you I'm not, that one of the classiest looking bikes in the Tour de France this year is a brand new giant Propel. It's an update to the company's aerodynamic race bike, but it hasn't yet been launched. No idea when, but soon hopefully, so we'll get some more details on the new bike and what they changed over the old bike. But on looks alone, it looks the business. Very much a TCR with an aero makeover, I think you'll agree. I love the horizontal top tube on the new bike, very different to the compact frame design of the TCR. I also love the new internal cable routing inside the stem and handlebar, which I think you'll agree is a big improvement over the old Propel for sure. With no details to go on from Giant, we can only speculate on what the changes to the new bike mean when it comes to numbers. But we can naturally expect it to be more aero than the old bike, but the difference might be fairly small. Where I think we might see a big difference is the weight and ride comfort. We've seen in the Tour de France that many are choosing this new bike over the TCR, so it means the weight could be very close to the TCR, and that could make it a TCR killer, which is a real shame because, as you all know, I love the TCR and so did many of you at home. Giant also helps itself with a decent paint job as well. A chunky blue square fade across the frame with a giant logo on the down tube, and sells nicely with the new Calyx wheels. But I think the tan wheels might be a step too far. Let me know what you think down below. It's likely we're looking now at the potential Tour de France winning bike. Tadej Pogacar's new Colnago Prototype, or Prototipo, to use the Italian company's name for a new bike. Not yet been released, no details on the bike, it very much is a prototype. And that is very unusual in the Tour de France. Normally, bikes are launched before the Tour de France and debut in this race, but we don't often see bikes in that final stage of development, a prototype being tested at a big race. Normally they're all done and wrapped up by now, so it's very unusual for the Italian company. While they are calling it a prototype, we can guess it will be the V4 RS, the replacement for the V3 RS, and therefore the fourth generation in a long line of semi-aero lightweight bikes go right back to 2018 when the V1 was first launched. And like many other bikes that are very popular now, like the Tarmac SL7, the Trek and Monda SLR, it's a bike trying to be lightweight but also aerodynamic as well. And Colnago these days has no dedicated aero bike like it used to with the old concept. That gone, the V4S will be the main bike they race on. And like the Giant Propel, it's a nicely balanced design with slim aero tubes and pleasing, neat cable routing. With the new bike, we can expect or hope for a big improvement in aerodynamic performance. Some magazine testing showed the current V3 RS wasn't all that aero compared to key rivals. Not that it holds Pogacar back much, but I think the weight will be a big focus of this bike. We've seen him in the past go to rim brakes because the disc brake bike was too heavy. But this year at the Tour de France so far, he's not campaigning rim brakes at all, it's only disc brakes, so hopefully the frame is a lot lighter than the V3 RS. But hopefully more details announced soon. But even barring the details, it's definitely a classy, sexy looking bike. The Canyon Ultimate is a modern classic. You can recognise it from a mile off from the outline, the silhouette alone. But there's a brand new one, not yet announced at the Tour de France. But I wouldn't blame you if you didn't recognise it from the old bike, it looks so similar. And that's either a good thing or a bad thing, depending on your view or your relationship with the current Ultimate. It's clear from the changes, it's still a lightweight climbing focused bike like it always has been going back many years. They have the Air Road if you want a speed focused aerodynamic race bike. The Ultimate can be left to be as light and as stiff and handling focused as possible. But now there's a bigger nod to aero and also the demands of cyclists wanting a modern looking road bike. So the main change is that all cables around the front end are internally routed just like on the Air Road, so no more external cables on the Ultimate. There are small changes here and there to other parts of the frame. The biggest one I can tell is a bottom bracket and down tube interface. The down tube looks to be slimmer than the old bike, leaving the bottom bracket shell quite exposed like we've seen on a 3T Strada, and likely all the other tube profiles have been put on a dart to save as much weight as possible. The current Ultimate in the top end CFR with Japanese carbon fibre was already pretty light, definitely one of the lightest bikes in the pro peloton with a sub 700 gram frame. So could the new one be sub 600 grams? That would be really good. A frame weight starting with a 5 would be amazing to see. But the bike hasn't been announced yet, so I have to wait for details from Canyon, and I'll have the full story on the bike when it is announced, and a sub to the channel would be fantastic if you want to see that. Another unreleased bike here, but lots of the Jumbo-Visma team are riding this, the brand new, yet to be released Cervelo S5. Now, when it was released a few years ago with the funky V-shaped stem, it definitely garnered a mixed reception, but as the years have rolled by, I think the looks have definitely grown on me, and I reckon it might have grown you as well at home. It's certainly a bike that can't be accused of mimicking or copying any other bike in the pro peloton. It is so distinctive. Now, the current S5 was launched in 2019, an update on the 2014 model which introduced a V-shaped stem, a really distinctive feature claimed to improve aero around the front end, and frontal surface area is really important with aerodynamics on a bicycle. Of course, the rider is 80% of the drag and your ride position is very important, but the front end of the bike, the handlebar and the fork and the head tube are really important to minimising the drag around the area, and that's the whole idea behind the V-shaped stem. Now, this is a new bike, it hasn't been launched yet, but it's on the UCI list of approved equipment, so it's had the nod from the UCI. And looking at the new bike compared to the old bike, the changes are very subtle indeed. Not the big step forward we had from 2014 to 2019 when this last version was introduced. And the changes on the frame, which are subtle at best, are owing to the UCI relaxing some of the rules it has around frame design. So UCI has a very tight set of restrictions for frame design. Boxes for certain parts of the frame to fit in, maximum dimensions, different tube profiles and so on. But the rules have been relaxed a little bit, and we've seen that being reflected in other bikes like the new Trek Madone as a good example of embracing the new rules. Well, not new rules, but kind of relaxing of the rules. And apparently that's the change behind the new bike. The most obvious change is around the front end, a much deeper head tube than before, and the rear stays are more straight where they meet the chainstays as well, and a few tweaks here and there to the rest of the frame. And see if you can spot the difference side by side if I put the old bike and the new bike side by side. Those then are, in my opinion, some of the hottest bikes in the Tour de France peloton right now. And if you want to see just how much Tour de France bikes have changed over the last 10 years with a comparison of the Cannondale SuperSix Evo, then check this video right here. And don't forget to subscribe by hitting the button right here. But that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, and I'll see you again very soon.